Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome back to our watch club for Marvel's Secret Invasion. I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in. Welcome back to Watch Club. My name is Nate, and this is our watch club for Marvel's Secret Invasion, Episode 2, titled Promises, directed by Ali Selim. If you're joining us for the first time, this is Watch Club, our weekly review series, kind of like a book club, but way better. Keep in mind, we will be going into full spoilers for this series and the MCU in general, so if you haven't watched this week's episode yet, be sure to do so, and then come right back in a snap. Now, just before we go any further, I also want to remind you listening that we've opened up our Discord here at Geekcentric, so, we can talk about this show directly to you and with you. So if you're listening to this Watch Club and you want to chime in with your theories, or maybe you just want to let us know if we got something wrong, you can do so by joining our Discord using the link in our description, and then jumping into the spoilers channel for this show. We also have spoiler channels for other movies and shows that have come out recently, as well as, just a ton of ways that you can interact with us and just talk to us directly, which we would love to do. We'd love to get to know you a little more. But before we get hung on a meat hook, let me introduce you to my fellow Skrull. Joining me today, beaming down once again, we have a Dylan, a Daphne, a certified doctor, and always a delightful young man. He's Darcy the Green-Lovin' Hudson.
Yep, that's me. I guess it's better. Yeah, I can't remember what you called me last time, but I feel like this is an improvement.
I'm going to see if I can improve it every single time that you're on.
You call me a doctor, which I certainly am not, but I do like a doctor. So
there you go. So I was going for the Who, Who.
I figured that was the stretch there.
Okay,
Thank
sweet.
You for that.
This week's episode got me thinking about who I'd want to turn into if I was really a Skrull. A skull. I hope I'm not a skull. I have a skull, but a Skrull. Before we dive in, Darcy, who do you want to turn into?
I don't know. I like being me. Maybe I turn into the mirror version of myself. So when I look in a mirror, I see how other people see me.
So you just need a mirror to do that.
But no, because then I'm seeing the inverted version of myself. I never see myself the way others do unless I'm looking at a picture. No, I want to see real time, in person. And just what it would be like if I was left-handed, because I guess mirror me would be, just
I guess so.
See things differently.
I saw somewhere on one of those, how you go on like an Instagram randomly going through all the videos. I saw one time there was someone that made a mirror. They invented a mirror that was inverted that would let you see that. So maybe that's all you need. I think for myself, I would want to turn into somebody who could advance my career as a podcaster, but it would have to be someone like influential to the person that would advance my career, right? And like maybe I work it out that it's someone who's dead. Is that against the rules? Can Skrulls turn into people who are dead?
No, I think they just need a name. They just don't get the memories.
Okay, I'm fine with that because, like, honestly, all I want to do is, and you can help me with this, Darcy, because you're a Skrull too. We can do like an Inception thing on Bob Iger, and just like I'll be his grandfather telling him that Nate Shelton needs to run Disney content creation or something like that. What do you think?
Well, I'm pretty sure he would check himself into a hospital and get checked out for something.
No, we would incept it. We would make it feel like he'd think it's a dream. I don't know.
How? I don't know how to do that. Did you learn hypnotism since we last spoke?
No, but like it could be like I show up at his house randomly, and then it's his grandfather. He's not going to freak out about that. He's going to be like,
yes, he would, because his grandfather's probably long dead. I would freak out.
Oh no! But you would trust. I think you would trust me. I don't know. Listen, before we leak the Skrull secrets to the world about how we're going to plot to take over Bob Iger's mind, let's get into this episode. So we kick off this week with a look back at 1995 and a bunch of footage from Captain Marvel showcasing a younger Nick Fury and highlighting his rocky introduction to Talos, their inevitable relationship, and the history we need to know about in terms of the displaced Skrulls coming to Earth. Then we pick up 2 years later in Brixton, London, as we see Nick Fury's promise to the Skrulls and his introduction to a now parentless young Gravik, who's clearly untrusting of Nick's ability to help the Skrulls find a new home. Then, as the camera closes in on the young Skrull, Gravik, we cut back to the attack in Moscow, where Nick is being pulled away by a disguised Talos, and Gravik and Gaia calmly flee the scene. So, quite the opener. We actually got to sort of see the promise, right? The moment that in part defines the motivations for this series' villain. What did you think of this look back and Gravik's apprehension?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was really cool to see how they managed to sum up the last 30 years in a very meaningful way, where it still impacts the story and gives meaning to, again, Gravik's actions. Again, his apprehension is very understandable. He wants a home, and if they're promising to help Nick Fury, is that they can't really call it home because they're not being themselves, and they're not living in their true skin. So I can see that being, again, something that he's run from, oppression already. Why would he want to come and be told what he can look like again? I guess or something. I don't know.
No,
I mean, understand why.
I think that makes sense too, and I think the other thing too, in terms of not just his apprehension in this scene, but even just maybe his continued apprehension in growing up. You have to remember, this is what we're seeing in this sequence is a pre-Avengers Nick Fury, right? So you have to wonder, maybe he struggled to keep his promise because he got too wrapped up in creating, a super team or his work with S.H.I.E.L.D., right? And the other thing that you kind of think about as well is like, is this version of Nick maybe utilizing the Skrull? It sounds awful, but utilizing the Skrulls in a way that's sort of like you can stay here, but you gotta pull your weight kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's not a free home.
I mean, I understand why they're incredibly useful, and Nick is, I mean, as you saw him put the Avengers together, he's all about using people to defend the Earth. So
right.
I get why he was doing that. And I guess, again, those 2 years that they kind of gloss over from 95 to 97, you got to assume that Talos and his family were with Carol going across the galaxy, because they could hit probably a couple of planets or places in a day. So they probably went and searched a lot of places. So, I can understand them getting tired of the chase, I guess, trying to find that one true home when there is somewhere they could live comfortably for the time being, with the intent to maybe, again, find that true home. Just take your time doing it, type thing.
I also thought the de-aging looked great in this sequence. Like it's not like it didn't feel like a lot, but it was natural. You know what I mean? Like I think we talk about de-aging a lot, especially since something like Rogue One and what have you, right? Or like kind of the fake face on the body. They've definitely gotten much better with it.
100%. And I think that might also come from the fact that they learn not to do top-down lighting, because that usually is the dead giveaway for these de-aging things. But the side lighting that they had there and the soft, natural light that's backlighting these characters, I think really lends its hand to, again, furthering that de-aging process.
Yeah, and it was shot really, really well, I think. Even for a character like Talos, I mean, you don't have to worry about the de-aging. Like, he didn't look younger there, but it's because that's just his Skrull, his human skin, right? So it's like that's not going to change. He can keep that as young or as old as he wants, I guess. So I mean, he looks good for his age. But I also thought it was interesting, the line where Fury says he's a child, and the Skrull woman that he's talking to, named Vara, responds with only to human eyes, right? Which continues the sort of the thing that I think Talos was saying last week, something about how they age differently, Skrulls.
Yeah, he's 100. Talos is 136. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
but apparently, like, I think they might also mature much faster than humans as well. Which again, you got to imagine, like, as a resource on both sides, that is a benefit. I think the like Gravik saying "I'm not afraid" is another sort of sense of that maturity, but it's also a bit scary too at the same time, because you're like, this kid's ready to fight someone. Like,
well, especially after we're told that he escaped from behind enemy lines flying a ship on his own. It's like that kid has determination to survive.
Yeah. So
I don't think anything scares him anymore.
No, he had the rocket origin story, I guess. Similar. And I also love the way that they close up on young Gravik to cut like that harsh cut to the older graphic, just as Nick says, "You keep your word and I'll keep mine." And then boom, you instantly see the result of, I guess, not a promise, but what seems to Gravik as a lie.
I mean, again, with Nick Fury disappearing, I understand why Gravik would be so upset. And also, like you mentioned earlier, with the Avengers, I'm sure it seemed like he'd be, around the Skrull's life probably a lot less as he's trying to wrangle these superheroes into a team. So maybe he's a bit hurt by that too, where he's like, we were helping, we were working together, and then all of a sudden we were cast to the side because you found a shinier toy type thing. So
interesting.
I feel like that might also play into it.
Oh, yeah. Maybe. And there might be some other stuff we're going to talk about later that also might play into that sort of mental thought, if you will, or way of thinking is what I was trying to say there.
It's just a thought, by the way.
Listen, I'm getting zapped right now on a machine somewhere, okay? I also will say just a little bit of advice from one Skrull to another, to Gravik and Gaia. If you don't want to look suspicious, look more scared when you're walking through a bombing, okay? Like, there's literally bombs going off, and they're just like casually walking out slowly. I'm like, they would be the first people I would suspect if I was to clock them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I don't know.
They're
maybe
like
it's
so
just
calm about it. I'm like, there's people.
People are freaking out. I don't think anyone's looking at anyone else. They're just trying to run away from the explosions and fire.
I guess.
Just trying to survive.
Maybe they just know that humans are dumb. We then continue as two Russian guards are looking for Nick Fury on a train, but a beautiful lady reminds them how ridiculous it'd be for a black American to be on a train from Moscow to Warsaw, saying it would be like seeing like aliens or something like that. And I'm like, okay, Talos, like, relax. But we obviously see this beautiful lady is Talos. He gives the all clear to Fury, who sits down and begins to question Talos in a game he used to play when he was a kid taking trains with his mama to Detroit. The conversation gets heated when Fury learns that during his absence, Talos sent out a call, and every Skrull that isn't in Emperor Droger's colony, they answered. They answered the call. Talos lied to Fury, and he could have gotten in touch with him, but he didn't want him to know. Fury is now furious. And demands Talos leave the train. Darcy, what did you think of the reveal that pretty much all the Skrulls are on Earth? And can you tell me, like, who is Emperor Droger?
Well, I mean, the fact that all the Skrulls are on Earth, again, shows how scary this can be, because it went from being a handful of refugees to being 1 million and counting. Who knows? Yeah. Because I think that maybe more than just those refugees, including everyone in Emperor Droger's colony, also got that message, and I'll get into that later.
Could they have Could they have been popping out baby Skrulls all this time?
I mean, probably. Right? Who knows? I don't. Yeah. That's not what I was thinking about. I was just thinking about the threat of these. Okay. Anyways, Emperor Droger, though, it kind of seems like almost a mashup of two characters from the comics. Okay. I mean, my Skrull lore is a bit rusty, but I do know that the long-running emperor of the Skrulls is Emperor Doric, I believe. Okay. Doric the Eighth or whatever, and he was the one who implemented the Super Skrull program at some point, and kind of forced its creation so that they could one-up the Fantastic Four way back when. But in recent times, there's been a scientist, and his name is just Droge. Okay. So it's almost like they're leaning towards like a combination where this guy isn't maybe so warmongering as he is just science-based, trying to make his creation stronger, or his race stronger, and ruling that way. I don't know. It's again, the fact that the director did not read Secret Invasion, like there was nothing like that involved. I feel like maybe there isn't going to be a connection everywhere we're looking, and they're just making up characters to fill that void. Right.
Well, and I mean, I think you've talked about in the past how you often really love that they do stray away from the source material in certain times, and I know sometimes that can be a point of contention for fans where they're like, oh, it's so different than what I wanted compared to what I've read. But I think I like that idea. I like the idea if they're combining maybe this character who, let's be realistic, might not actually show up on this show, but just the fact that they sort of name dropped or referenced a character like a Skrull like that could come into at some point in the future, because again, like that's telling us that okay, not every Skrull in the universe is on Terra, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's the Skrulls that Talos knows of. I also wonder if there's some Guardians of the Galaxy 3 we saw nowhere is now like a refugee camp. So maybe there's some there, right? I would think that they could be there.
Maybe again,
Yeah.
that refugee camp happened 30 years after we were introduced to the refugee Skrulls. So if they're willing to wait that long, maybe they're on nowhere, or if they've found a way off Earth, they've
Right.
gone there, or something like that. Maybe.
And I also wanted to just say, like, blonde ladies, dude, they're just so convincing. Like, it worked in The Matrix, and I guess it works here too. And I think it's funny that Talos would pick like that combination of qualities to attract the guard. Like, I wonder how long on Earth Talos, like, how long did it take for Talos to sort of recognize what humans would be attracted to? You know what I mean? Maybe you watch The Matrix. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, when you think about a whole race of shape-shifting aliens,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be pretty good at reading faces. And when you come to Earth and no one can change their shape or anything like that, I feel like you could pick up on facial readings pretty quickly. And maybe that's something he's used to his ability. Because again, he is a flawless impersonator, and anytime he takes the role of something, you buy it. You don't even know it's him until the big reveal at the end type thing.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, even that even adds to sort of like some of the sad parallels and realities that we're getting from this series is sort of a mirror on our own world of like, yeah, like even Talos would sort of know to pick that specific sort of ideal version of beauty in a way for some people, I guess, right? Where it's kind of like, he's seen magazines before, and instantly as an alien species, he's able to sort of recognize, okay, and even seeing celebrities, right? It's like, oh, the prettier people are here on the status chain, and the not as pretty people are maybe here, right?
Mm-hmm. Maybe. I don't know. I
Maybe.
didn't think that much into it. I was just consumed by what happens next.
Well, let's also talk about that. I also want to mention, Samuel L. Jackson having a line of talking about Old Man Jackson's barn. I was like, nice little reference. Like, I could almost imagine that wasn't even maybe written, but he just sort of came up with Old Man Jackson's barn. And I thought it was a really, like, the line that I thought was probably the part that hit the most for myself, and I think for a lot of people. It was so poignant, and one of the more important lines in this episode, where Nick says there's not enough room or tolerance on this planet for another species, which just shows like Nick's experiences, his own experiences with racism, and showing how pessimistic he is against the idea that humans would just accept, even more difference in this world. And you can't blame him. It's just, again, it's another sort of terrible truth that this show is putting a mirror up and sort of highlighting of our real world.
100%. I mean, I feel like this whole show is kind of going to be another commentary on that, much like Falcon and Winter Soldier was.
Mm-hmm.
They're not afraid to discuss these through a lens that is, you're able to kind of step outside what's going on with us, and then like look at the bigger picture from a new perspective, obviously. And I think it's really cool that Marvel's doing that with their shows now.
Because, I mean, again, that's what the comic books were always meant to do, right? They were meant to bring up these topics and find ways to embed them in sort of the pop culture of it all, so that we would talk about it.
Pay attention and do exactly what we're doing now.
Yeah. And yeah, just such an incredible exchange between Nick and Talos here. Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn are just excellent in this scene. But then we get back to London, where we witness the funeral service for Maria Hill, where we see her mom, Elizabeth, mourning the loss of her daughter. She approaches Fury, who watches from a nearby field, and he admits to her that she died because the enemy wanted to hurt him, so they hurt her. She asks him to make sure that her daughter didn't die in vain. So, just really quickly, Maria Hill, dead. She's dead.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
you don't think there's no way.
No.
What was the thing you were telling me about? I don't know if it was in a Last Watch Club or off air, but the from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. robot body thing.
Oh, Life Model Decoy. Actually, that was someone from our Discord who brought it up.
Oh, well, thank you, someone from our Discord.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but it was. Yeah, Life Model Decoys are like these robots they created to basically act as duplicates for, important people, like Nick Fury, Murray Hills, Dum Dum Duggan. He was, the most famous one, or long-lived LMD, if you will. But it's these robots that can fully represent and replicate these important people. So it could be one of those, but I don't know. Or we might see her come back like Coulson did, which I mean, I didn't really appreciate. Kind of take away the meaning of his death, and I feel like the same thing would happen with Maria Hill. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think she's dead.
I mean, yeah. So sorry, it was Mr. Mitch George that brought up the LMD, and Jake Squats for Cake as well. Shout out to them for bringing up this conversation in our spoiler filled channel on the Discord, which you can do as well. Again, definitely sign up into the Discord. Yeah, she's dead. Okay. Unfortunately, and I love her. I love her so much. It hurts so much to say that, but I think
moving on.
I think it would. I don't think it would work as well if she wasn't. But I will say this bit of early secrets, early theories here. I think we do see more Maria Hill in this series. On one of the red carpet interviews, Kobe Smulders did say we do dive into a bit of Maria Hill's backstory. So if that was just her saying we see her mom, fine, but hopefully it means we get maybe a little more through flashbacks or something. I don't know.
That'd be cool. Hopefully.
Then we see news updates on Martin Wallace, who's being held in custody as a leading member of the online fringe group known as the AAR, Americans Against Russia. We see responses from UK Prime Minister Pamela Lawton, NATO Secretary General Sergio Kaspani, and lead FXN news anchor Chris Stearns. And following that sequence, we see Gravik attending a meeting with the Skrull Council, who is comprised of those very people. In the meeting, the council is visibly upset with the attack on Moscow, resulting in over 2,000 civilians dead. He reminds them that Fury abandoned them, and the humans cast them aside. He promises them that Earth will be their home because he'll take it. He tells them to put their faith in him, and their loyalty will be repaid. Pamela suggests that they make Gravik their new commander, and even though 2 of the council members object, it doesn't matter. He forces his way into that position, and the others submit, except for one who immediately informs Talos, good old Sharon, who I think that's what they said her name was. So what do you think of Gravik now as the leader, the leading force of the Skrulls, and why do you think he's so confident that under his rule they can take Earth?
Again, I feel like this is coming back to that Emperor Droge line. I feel like, again, the message got out to more than just the refugees or the people who were fleeing, that his colony also heard. And I feel like maybe Gravik turned to him once Nick Fury abandoned him, and now they're kind of working together to take Earth.
I like
That's
that.
kind of where I'm thinking, especially with what comes, again, later in the episode. Another thing that kind of feeds my idea that that throwaway line, it might have more importance than we think.
Interesting. Okay, I like that. I mean, we'll definitely get to the super reason as to why he's so confident later. But I also think that this council was just a small sample of who they actually have in positions of power around the world. And I really do feel this, continuing off of last week, but I really do feel like President Ritson is a Skrull, or he's almost being replaced by a Skrull. Like maybe he isn't one right now in this very moment in this episode, but there's a plan in place to take the White House and to start the war. And then, Gravik and his people, maybe they, like, as part of their plan. I don't think this will all actually happen because I don't think Gravik ends up winning, but I hope not, maybe. But I think, one of the things that I was kind of thinking about was like, well, if there is a war and U.S. and Russia go at it with nukes and all this stuff, their Skrulls, they're all on Earth. So they'll need a way to get off of Earth temporarily. And my first thought on that was, well, he didn't kill Nick. Maybe he's trying to get access to Saber, right? Maybe he's trying to get access to that space station because he knows there's Skrulls already on that space station. And maybe he's even working with one of the Skrulls from that space station. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of my favorite parts with the Silent Council is the fact that during Talos and Nick Fury's little back and forth in the train there, Nick Fury drops their reptilian ass mind, and now we have this council of green-skinned lizard people, for lack of a better term, running the secret behind the scenes. I feel like this is another fun little commentary on, what people might believe out there with the conspiracy theorists thinking a small group runs the world. And
oh,
now,
absolutely.
in this show, if that's true, it's just they're Skrulls.
Yes, and again, it's just another way that Marvel does such a good job of, and these writers do such a good job of both showing us a mirror to our own reality and then finding ways to infuse sort of these epic stories, right? I also want to mention that this scene finally gives us canon confirmation that the Avengers are disbanded, which it's odd that it took this long to finally get an in-universe character to like reference that the Avengers are no more. So that was interesting. And also Kingsley's performance when he says war and slams his fist on the table was so good. He does this really interesting thing, and I think I only noticed it in this scene, and I want to see in the future if he continues to, and maybe this is just Kingsley Ben-Adir, but he does this thing where it kind of looks like he's chewing on a toothpick, but there's no toothpick. I don't know if you noticed this, but it might have been a performance choice, or it might have just been like a tick or something he does. But for some reason, in my mind, I was like, oh man, like Gravik doesn't even like. He's in a human body. He doesn't realize he's in it, or no, he knows he's in his human body, but he doesn't like being in his human body. So maybe like he has this sort of like tick of just being like uncomfortable in his own skin. And again, that could just be me like taking something that Kingsley Ben-Adir is not doing consciously and making it into a thing. But I saw it as like something that just was like, it's like, whoa, what is he doing with his mouth this entire time?
I thought he was just, biting his lip and clenching his jaw.
Yeah.
Because he's angry.
That could have been it too.
All I got from
that could have been it too. Maybe I'm looking too far. Listen, with this show, we have to look into every possibility, okay? Even invisible toothpicks. But back at the compound, Gravik is celebrated. We see Gaia sneaking around the lab, while Pagan informs Dr. Dalton that he was unsuccessful in collecting the harvest. Now, I'm going to mix up the order of the episode just a bit, Darcy, so that we can get sort of to the next moment, because it's the moment that we really want to talk about. But before we do, and before we discuss what they're harvesting and what they're working on, why do you think Gravik was celebrated here? I mean, the compound I don't think knows about the attack on Moscow. Is this just them celebrating him becoming like the new leader of the Skrulls?
Yeah, I think that's all it is. That's all. I mean, again, unless they all do know about, Gravik's plans and they're all okay with it. But the way that the first episode portrays him, it seems like there are a lot of people who were kept in the dark about what's going on and what his grand plan is. So, yeah, I feel like it was maybe just the fact that he is now just leader of the council, and they see this as like, oh, our Messiah will now, save all of us type thing.
Interesting. And I also noticed that a lot of the Skrulls, like some of them were in their Skrull form, but a lot of them are in like a human form. Why wouldn't they just be comfortable in their own skin if they just were in private?
Well, I mean, in the first episode, it's Gaia. It literally explains why we see that. Oh. Apparently, the warriors stay in their shells because the longer they're attached to the shells, the more likely it is they'll go undetected by humans and Skrulls alike.
So it's like they're practicing, in a sense.
Not so much that. It's just the connection, because, again, it's like changing their DNA, and the longer they stay in that form, I guess the more their DNA becomes to resemble what they're mimicking or something like that.
Interesting.
Because it is a molecular shift, not so much just a... Like their whole body is changing, basically.
Oh, wow. Okay, it's not just on the outside. So, like, that way, if they do go through some sort of DNA scan, it's still...
Yes. Because, again, I think we see this in action in a later scene. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just going to say it right now. During that interrogation scene, after he loses a finger, he's bleeding red blood, where as soon as the finger turned from human to Skrull, it was bleeding the blue and purple blood.
Oh, okay. So it's at a molecular level.
At a molecular level, they are something else until they die, at which point their molecules shift back.
That's interesting. Okay, cool. The Skrull science with Darcy. I love it. I thought it would be budget reasons, which it could be too. Like the fact that like they they're like, well, we can't afford everyone to be in makeup, so we're just gonna do like a few people.
I feel like that is the case, but it's also a reason to like, look, we paid for these actors.
Yeah,
let's use these actors' faces.
True. Okay. And then I did notice that Pagan said our fearless leader isn't always right, which is interesting because he's showing doubt in this guy that last episode he seemed so enamored by. And I wonder if like he's maybe Gravik's not making the decisions that Pagan thinks are best. And I wonder if we're going to see a divide at some point in this show between this sect of Skrulls and Gravik.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. And I feel like Pagan's, apprehension or whatever is coming from the fact that, like, Gravik even admitted that he didn't know Nick Fury was going to be there. Like, he mentioned that alone, so he's just flying off the seat of his pants, and like I feel like he's throwing darts in the dark and just hoping something hits.
So with this episode being called Promises, right? We've seen the promise at the beginning of the episode. We learn about the promise, which we'll get to at the end of this episode. But maybe this is yet another promise that's not being kept. Interesting. Okay. Gaia continues. This is where it gets really spicy. Gaia continues her investigation into Gravik's scientific explorations, and we see on a computer, like oldest ass computer. That's, I guess, because like that's what they would have had available to them in Russia. I don't know. They recovered various pieces of DNA from various beings around the galaxy. Included on that list, we have Groot, a frost beast from Jotunheim, Cull Obsidian, and just before the camera cuts away to Gravik himself, we also see listed as a Terran, Extremis. Gravik then insults Gaia's father and proceeds to inform her that their man on the inside located Brogan. Okay, we have to talk about these DNA elements, Darcy. Of course, we've seen in the trailer by this point the Groot arm that Gravik has. So I think even back when those trailers came out, we were thinking Super Skrull stuff. But why do you think, Cull Obsidian, and can you explain Extremis? Because I don't know if maybe my MCU brain is just not working right now, but Extremis, for those who don't remember?
That's from Iron Man 3. It was the molecular coding thing that AIM invented and was very fraught with this, it was very unsuccessful in that there's a high chance that you would explode upon, rewriting your DNA. But again, it was a DNA, a molecular changing property or whatever that was developed on Earth.
Which we just discussed. Skrulls maybe are better at handling than humans. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. I mean, I've seen a ton of people, mentioning the Fantastic Four and their relationship with this storyline.
Yes, because the Fantastic Four are the first enemies of the Skrull Empire, and they're the ones who inspire Emperor Doric to fund the research to create a Super Skrull, one who would imitate all four of the Fantastic Four's powers and fight against them, hoping to finally defeat them so they could conquer Earth. But he ended up getting buried underneath Earth, and they cut off communication with his satellite, which was giving him his powers. It was a very of its time
storyline. Yeah.
He does come back eventually. The Super Skrull.
What gives him his powers? The satellite, and that's all they say. Stuff like that.
Pretty much along those lines. Yeah.
I mean, stretchy Groot arms. Okay, so this makes sense. Like, that's Reed Richards. I guess Extremis would be the fire, like Human Torch.
And
then Cull Obsidian, I guess, is big. So that's the thing.
Big rocky guy.
But then nothing for, like, what else was there? There was the Frost Beast or whatever. So that's not invisibility. So, like,
no.
I'm wondering if, because in that previous scene, Dalton gets upset with Pagan, or Pagan's like, he keeps telling me there were things to harvest and they weren't there. Like, I'm wondering if maybe that's the Sue Storm element, and maybe not even Sue Storm. Like, it could even be what's the name of the girl in Ant-Man 2? Ghost from Ant-Man 2. I'm wondering if that, because Groot isn't exactly Reed Richards, right? So I'm wondering if Ghost is like the closest thing.
Again, I'm not sure if they're going 100% for this Fantastic Four team. It'd be cool if it was. Yeah. And I also love the idea that Ghost would be this one thing that they could ever catch, because she's just phasing out of existence and just the fastest getaway person ever, because all she has to do is phase into the ground and you're good.
That would be cool.
I mean, I love that idea.
Interesting. I might have a few more interesting theories about DNA, but we're going to save that to the very, very end of this discussion. So let's keep going here. We then join Sonya as she decides to personally take over the torture of the Skrull Brogan, who's taken the form of Martin Wallace. She delightfully cuts off his finger, and we see it turn green. As you mentioned, the blood goes from red to purple. She continues to torture him by sticking Brogan with a needle and boiling his blood, Darcy. Like, this was awful.
Kudos to this actor, because man, he was selling that pain. I thought he was actually being boiled from the inside out.
Unbelievable.
Terrifying thought.
Unreal. She manages to extract the facts that Gravik is building a machine to make them stronger, and the science is led by a married couple with the last name Dalton. Gravik and Pagan infiltrate the gang of Sonya's men and take them all out in a really violent action sequence, like really violent. But alas, they're too late, and Sonya's escaped. Unsatisfied with Brogan's inability to keep their secrets, they take Brogan to a nearby forest and execute him. This whole section is crazy. This action sequence was absolutely nuts. What did you think about these two Skrulls just taking out that entire gang?
Again, just highlights how scary of a threat these guys are. They are clearly trained warriors and know how to execute a plan and strike force. They got to strike hard. I mean, it's again, just highlights the danger of these Skrulls.
Well, that one guy he's hung on a meat hook, and then they take out the guy, the one guy with the gunshot as soon as he uses the meat cleaver. I thought that was really smart. It was, kind of like an Indiana Jones thing. And then I think it just shows, like you're saying, Skrulls are so much more inherently powerful than men are. And I get it. Like these are lowly Russian gang members. So like, I don't think they were like part of Sonya's actual, like wherever she's from, like if she's working with MI6 or whatever. Olivia Colman also so freaking outstanding. And this is just another scene that is just performed so excellently. Like we're seeing her keep that smile going while she's boiling this man's blood and then chopping off his finger, I think is more terrifying than anything that the Russian mobster could do in this, in the scene before.
Oh, I mean, again, this is another scene that highlights the whole Dolores Umbridge of the MCU because she is happy doing these horrible, horrible things. Unreal. And just, again, bringing a lot of light to a rather dark subject matter type thing.
Absolutely.
Like, here we are torturing someone, but she's just, I just need to know where the escape hatch is. Just a hunch.
It's like, so good. And I love the idea that she might have hired those guys just to buy time. Like she knew someone would show up and try to take her out or take out Drogon or whatever. But then it's just enough time for her to escape. Like she's so devious. It makes me wonder if she's a Skrull. Right? Maybe not a good one. Maybe someone who's trying to become the leader over Gravik.
And that's the thing. I don't know, because the fact that the way the episode works is that we're told that the man on the inside has found Brogan right after Olivia Colman takes over the torture. So it's almost like they're implying that she found out where they are, let Gravik know, and then was getting all the information she could, because again, Gravik isn't sharing all the information, and then now she's dipping so that she can again be on Gravik's side, but also be trying to find the things to overthrow him.
I mean, I think last week I was even speculating that even Nick Fury could be a Skrull, but I almost like this idea more of especially if we are going to get into Super Skrulls at some point, having a Skrull alternative for every character. Sonya is Nick Fury on the Skrull side. I think that works perfectly. And here we see him at his weakest, and maybe this is her at her most powerful. She is 5 steps ahead, and he's 5 steps behind. Really cool. Really interesting. Again, to have a series that does, for the most part, focus solely, I think Nick Fury is the main character of Secret Invasion. And so to have this, yes, Gravik is the antagonist, but maybe there's a secret antagonist.
A greater threat than Gravik.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love it. Very cool. Okay, that could be really interesting. In London, Colonel Rhodes is being questioned at an emergency security summit over the attack in Moscow and America's alleged involvement. While leaving, he receives a call from Nick Fury, and the two meet at Berner's Tavern. During a heated discussion, Rhodes expresses how he's all that Fury has now, defending him from the Russians. It's also made clear that Rhodes already knew about the Skrulls coming to Earth, but this is when Fury informs him that an invasion is real and is happening. Rhodes suggests that they call their friends, but Nick says they'd only be duplicated and then framed as terrorists. Nick asks for Rhodey's support, and not only does he deny him, he fires his ass. Darcy, how does Rhodey even have the ability to fire Nick Fury? And why do you think he's pushing him away?
I feel like Rhodey has been filling in a lot of Nick Fury's duties as he's been off planet.
Oh, interesting.
Who else has spent so much time with a bunch of the supers? He is a super himself,
right?
So he's clearly got high levels of clearance considering he's working with the government and also was an Avenger. So makes sense to me. I mean, what I thought was cool, and I got to shout out Straw Hat Goofy or Juju Green over on TikTok, because he brought up this idea that maybe Rhodey is a Skrull because he is so interested in trying to call the Avengers back together, which is exactly what you want Skrulls would want if they're trying to harvest this DNA.
Okay.
They want to have all the Avengers ready to be taken, and that's exactly what Nick Fury says to defend not calling them. So it's almost like, what if this is the case? Because as soon as that happens, we see Rhodey switch and start flipping on Nick Fury and saying, "I'm going to fire your ass. That's why I'm here."
Interesting.
So it's just the fact that that is a possibility, and I would love it to be the case. Again, shout out to Straw Hat Goofy over on TikTok. He has some awesome theories about a lot of pop culture stuff.
Straw Hat Goofy, if you're listening, come on the podcast. Let's talk about this. But I did want to mention, I've talked to him on one of his lives before. You never know. I think I like that, Darcy and Straw Hat Goofy, but only if it's the roads that like we haven't seen. Like, I don't want it to be the roads that was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't want it to be the roads that was saying goodbye to his friend Tony Stark dying. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be
I'm almost thinking it's roads after that defense panel.
Okay.
Because en route to meeting up with Nick Fury, if the Skrulls knew he was going to be there, they just nab him and take his place.
And one of them was at that panel, right? Like
exactly. They're like, Rhodey's here. We have an in. We can get Nick Fury again, type thing. Something along those lines.
Interesting. What if it, dude? Okay, So what if it was the phone call, right? And it was Gravik as Nick Fury, right? And then he brings him to the tavern. They switch out, and then that's okay. I think now in my head canon, that's exactly what happened. That's incredible. Okay. Where are we here? Oh, I had a few more things I wanted to say.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm blown away by our collective theory making here. Such an incredible conversation that I think we should have had more time with these characters before now. And these performances are exactly why they're so well done. And I think if the theory we just came up with isn't correct and it is James Rhodes, it also would make sense that he is super frustrated because this is his friend, right? That's pushing so hard against the U.S. government. And Rhodey is very much a person on the inside. He's a government man. And so I think it might be bringing up a lot of anxiety felt by him back in Civil War, right? Where, that all of his friends were sort of going against the United States. And he's always sort of been on that on this side. And I think that line hits even harder the more I think about it when Nick says, I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out, I'm in the sense that Nick does his best work when he's on the outside of the government, or even outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. He might not have the same resources, but he does have the ability to take risks that James or President Ritson and other officials might never allow.
Mm-hmm. Again, it was an incredible scene between the two of them, and we got a lot of cool, I feel like we're seeing Nick on his way to the bottom, basically, because his body confidence is gone. Every time it flipped back to him, he was almost changing positions in his chair. Couldn't get comfortable because... Again, he doesn't know what's happening. Nothing is in his control anymore. He just lost one of his best friends. Now his other best friend is, or one of his other good friends is now telling him, "I'm going to fire you because you aren't listening to us." Like, everything in his life is going down the shitter. And I feel like it's setting up a Nick Fury that we've never seen before, but also a Nick Fury that will rise to greater heights once he gets out of this crap.
Interesting. Now, I am still going off the theory that we collectively just thought of. I did see Eric Voss at New Rockstars, I think tweeted something, or I was reading something about, he was talking about the glasses that Nick is wearing in both the scene with Talos and the scene with James, both being the infrared glasses from the previous episode. And so an interesting thing is they could do like a reveal where they show like, oh, he knew in that moment that he was talking to A Skrull.
A Skrull.
James. Whoa. Okay. It just all works. Okay. I won't be disappointed if it's the other way around, but whatever.
I mean, also, before we move on to anything else, I just got to say, why were they trying to get Nick Fury's DNA? Because he said, just think because you're firing me, I'm going to relinquish my DNA. Like,
oh, yeah.
He says that
Does he?
to Rhodey.
Okay.
After the guy was trying to grab him and take him away. Like, why? Like, are these Skrulls? Is that Garda's Skrull? Like, because when Nick Fury first says, like, how well do you know your team? And it's like, well, take a bullet for me. And it's like, but would they? What if they're just a Skrull and they're just here to get DNA samples or whatever?
Man.
Like, what if that's Pagan? And he was trying to get one of his harvests and it didn't work out. Like,
Interesting.
I'm so confused by that line. That they need to elaborate on that.
They might. I think they might. Okay, let's get to the final sequence here. Lastly,
sorry.
No, it's okay. I love it. We see Nick Fury recover a vehicle from a storage locker and make his way to a house that we've never seen before. At least I don't think we've ever seen before. And he pulls up to the driveway, and we see a Skrull woman. She's chopping up some cucumbers in the kitchen. And once Fury enters the house, we see that she's now taken a human form and asks Nick, saying, "Aren't you forgetting something?" Referring to a wedding ring that he recovers from a nearby side table. He puts it on, and the two embrace with a kiss. Okay, so yet again, a pretty shocking reveal for a character that we thought we knew. So many questions arise, like who is she, and how does she play into Fury's disappearance all these years?
And is she the reason that Nick Fury wanted to get a house in Europe? Because he was driving on the left-hand side of the road to that place, so he is still in Europe somewhere.
Okay. Good. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, so maybe he's in London.
Well, it was only on my second watch that I picked that up. I'm like, oh no, he hasn't left the continent. He is still over there, and like you said, he's going to the one place where he can recollect all his thoughts together and bring it back where he's safe.
Interesting.
And again, I will say, after the first time I watched it, I thought that maybe he doesn't know his wife is a Skrull.
Mm-hmm.
But on the second watch through, it's pretty clear that she is the one who introduces Gravik to him.
She's Vara.
Yeah, she's Vara.
Okay.
At the beginning of the episode, so I will take back that theory at least, and just again hope that this Europe home retreat will help get Nick Fury back on the right road.
Well, and I think it would make sense that she's more of a central character that we're introduced to in the second episode of only 6 episodes, right? Because I think with her being the one that introduced Nick, to this kid, this boy, she's probably concerned or will be concerned for the well-being of Gravik, and also she might feel, a little upset that this is where it's come to. Like, he's now become this massive threat to humanity and to her husband. And so maybe we'll see how that weighs on her. Or if she's even aware of all this, right? Like, I think, again, what if Nick is hiding, not just hiding, his wife from the world, but what if he's hiding his world from her? Right? Like, maybe that was part, what kept him back from coming back, right? Is that he didn't want her to get hurt from another threat that he couldn't prevent, like when he was dusted.
I mean, you'd think that he'd bring her with him. I mean, because he couldn't have control over anything. I don't think him being there would be any different.
But I'm wondering I'm wondering if like again, I'm trying to figure out when they might have actually hooked up. Like, maybe they hooked up on Saber, right? Because we saw a bunch of Skrulls with him at the end of No Way Home. So, like,
30 years have passed since their first meeting, so I'm sure a lot of stuff could have happened.
Right, they banged. The credits have her listed as Priscilla Fury, so I guess that's like her human name.
I mean, or she's working with Gravik and is just the inside woman to Fury now. I mean,
oh jeez, Darcy, don't even.
Another theory that just popped in my head.
I was literally
this show is rife with theories.
Darcy, I was literally just about to say how delightful it was that this episode just ended with a hug and not something nefarious. And now you're putting these thoughts into my brain, Darcy, that she's evil.
I don't want it to be true.
No,
I want Nick Fury to have a safe place.
Well, and I think it would be really interesting if that was the case. If she's not only a secret from the world, but his world is a secret from her. And I think, in the first episode, he talks about everyone gets 2 lies or something. So maybe this was his first lie is to his wife. I don't know. Interesting. I mean, he did mention that he had a wife in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I mean, it also explains why he was so cool with setting Clint up with his own farm and the family and everything like that.
Oh, right, because so he would have had experience in doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, before we get to our final thoughts, this was such a great conversation so far. So many good theories bubbling up, so
all the show gives us is theories after theories.
Just bubbling like the boiling skin of Brogan. Jeez. Let's get to our before we get to our final thoughts and score. I want to get to our Skrull secrets. So Darcy, I want you to start off. I want to specifically center these Skrull secrets around the idea of what other DNA. If Gaia kept scrolling on that list, would we have seen other DNA? What other DNA could they possibly be harvesting other than trying to emulate the Fantastic Four?
I mean, you got to think it's clearly like not suit-based heroes. So Ant-Man's off the list. They're not going to try to get Scott Lang's DNA. It's not in his system.
Right.
Maybe Spider-Man.
Okay.
He's swinging around the streets of New York and no one knows who he is.
I mean, Miles has invisibility, doesn't he?
He does, but Miles doesn't have powers in this universe.
Doesn't
I think we're
exist
talking
in this
about
universe yet, right?
Yeah. He hasn't crossed through this multiverse
Not
yet.
yet.
So.
Not yet. After Beyond the Spider-Verse, I think he will. But I mean, listen. There's a scene we talked about the Groot arm in one of the trailers. There's another moment in a trailer that shows a ton of graphics in an office, which maybe, and I had to search his real name. I didn't actually know. James Madrox. Multiple Man?
I don't think so.
No, it's probably just
Skrulls.
It's probably just
Anyone
a bunch of Skrulls transformed. Yeah,
don't read too much into it because Multiple Man is great. He's a mutant and everything. I'd love to see it, but
probably not.
That would be a terrible way of bringing him into the things. Like, he's just a bunch of Skrulls. No, that's not. No.
And then I think, listen, I have one that is maybe a little more realistic, which is think about another series on Disney Plus that the central plot point was about DNA extraction. She-Hulk. Right?
I just as you were halfway through that sentence, I'm like, he's going to say She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, right? And we know, listen, I know the events of that show and the ending are hazy canonically because of the whole Kevin bod and breaking the fourth wall and rewriting the ending and all that stuff. But I still think canonically there could be some Hulk DNA out there. And my secret theory, and this is just me writing what I think I'll see in the future of the show, is I think we'll see Pagan as a Skrull Hulk who takes on the DNA as a method to show his dedication to Gravik. But then, maybe it becomes too much for him and he dies because of it or something like that. I think we're going to see Pagan go through these, sort of back and forths of, do I trust this guy? Do I love this guy? Will I die for this guy? And I think at the end of this series, before the end of the series, I think he will die for this guy. And I think it could be as a Hulk. I don't know.
That'd be interesting to see. Again, I feel like they're trying to build up so that Gravik would be the Super Skrull. And also, I feel like this whole fascination on getting these superpowers is coming from an inspiration like the Emperor. That's my Skrull secrets. I think the Emperor has a hand in Gravik's plans. I've already said that throughout the episode.
I
think Droge's true power is in the fact that he can, sway Skrulls to his sides if they want to fight for a cause, and he wants to dominate everything. So
interesting.
I feel like getting Gravik over there would be pretty easy, conversation.
Maybe Droge's is Sonya. All right. Let's get to before we have any more theories that we just throw out and tend to hope one sticks, let's get to our final impressions of this episode and our final score, which we're going to be rating on a scale of 1 to 5 green ring fingers. Darcy, go ahead.
Ring fingers.
Okay, ring finger, he puts the ring on, and then one of them's green. I don't know.
But the one that gets chopped off is the index finger.
I was talking about the one that's a little bit nicer. Okay.
Okay, fine. We'll go with the ring finger, even though that wasn't the one that got cut off. I mean, again, I feel like these first 2 episodes are an incredible start to what so far is one of Marvel's best attempts at a new genre in this series. So I'm loving it. I feel like this is again a very good, almost Act 1 closure to that first act that we got that was chaos and crazy with the ending with the death of Maria Hill. This one ending with, again, Nick at the bottom of the life. He guys got fired. His friends are all turning on him. The one place he can turn to is his wife, and now he can, again, get his mind back on track and then move forward and win the battle.
I love that.
So I love these 2 episodes. This is, again, the only thing I want more of would be more Sonya, because again, I love how terrifying she is, and I want to see her and do more torture, I guess, is what I'm saying. She could torture a bunch of people, and I'd probably watch every second of it because it's so delightful, which is a terrible thing to say. But I'll be giving this episode, again, because of how it's following up that first one and really giving a nice closure to this first act, I hope, and continues going up from here. But this would be a 5 out of 5 green ring fingers.
Wow. All 5 of them. All 5 ring
All 5
fingers.
of them. Yeah, no fingers got chopped off.
Wow, amazing. The first episode of this series last week, I was very intrigued, and I even though this episode ends with a lovelier, shocking reveal, and not like a heart-ripping death, I will say I think this episode was much better. I especially when it comes to performances. I think there were 4 outstanding MCU interaction sequences of Fury and Talos on the train, Gravik at the council meeting, Sonya's interrogation scene, and Fury and Rhodes. Just incredible acting all around, and to get so many moments like that back to back just really shows. I think for me, that's the Marvel I love, because it shows just how they can take these dramatic moments and give us dialogue that's really smart, really well written, and makes us think and gets us talking about things, which again, as we were saying earlier, that's what these comics originally were always meant to do. And the fact that they can pull that off in some of these heavier moments. And I think I don't think all Marvel needs to strive to be this. Like you're saying, this is a specific genre, and it's okay if we get some, goofier, funnier, Taika Waititi. I'm okay with that stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I'm fine with that. But I think when it comes down to the drama and it comes down to the dialogue in these heavier moments, I do hope that the broader MCU can emulate the quality that we're getting out of this episode and hopefully this series. Again, just phenomenal performances, great action sequences, and all with an ending that I think, shocks while revealing more about a character we know little about, and then also giving us a warm, fuzzy feeling. It didn't end in something terrifying, even though Darcy, you're like, oh, she's definitely an evil Skrull. She's working with Gravik. She's going to kill Nick in his sleep.
Don't trust anyone. That's what this whole show's about, is you can't trust anyone.
Well, you can trust us to continue giving you some amazing theories week to week. But I'm going to give this episode, that's just a plug for next week for some reason. I'm going to give this episode a very solid, no shape-shifting here, a very solid 4.5 green ring fingers. Just half a finger is chopped off. Not too bad.
One's bent.
One's bent down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode of Watch Club for Marvel's Secret Invasion. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to subscribe to us wherever you like to listen to podcasts, if you haven't already. And if you want to write into the show with your thoughts or your predictions on the shows we cover in Watch Club, well, let me just learn that Darcy is secretly married to a Skrull, so we can let you know how you can reach us.
That's one of the weirdest throws you've ever set up, Nate. I'm sorry. I don't get that. My brain is fried from all these theories, though, so I'm just going to lay it straight. They can reach us at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. Or they can reach us on Twitter at GeekcentricYT, on Instagram at wearegeekcentric.
You can also find us on TikTok at wearegeekcentric as well. So, if you're a younger Skrull and you want to do that, you can check that out. Although I think the younger Skrulls are all into Reels now on Instagram. Like, it keeps going back and forth. I don't know what is cool anymore, okay? I need to study my humans a little more. But you can also join our Discord as well. Join us. Join our Skrull Discord. Join us there, like a compound.
I don't think they don't say join us. They want to kill everybody.
Listen, we'll harvest your DNA. Join us. But keep in mind, we have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest, movies and shows out now, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for Netflix's Nimona, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, The Flash, Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, Elemental, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which we also have a spoiler-filled discussion out for that movie as well. Plus, we have some great interviews out now, like our most recent interview with Peter Sohn, the director of Disney and Pixar's Elemental, where Justin got to sit down with him to discuss how he brought his authentic life lessons to the film. We also have our interview with some of the cast from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And we have an interview out now with Kingsley Ben-Adir, Gravik himself, and Ali Selim, the director of this very episode and all these episodes in this series. So you can check those out here on your podcast service of choice or over on YouTube at youtube.com/Geekcentric. And we've also got some more interviews coming up, some a little further into the future that I've done that I'm stoked for everyone to see, and also some that are a little closer to the present but not quite today. which are with the listen, Darcy, relax.
My brain's already hurting, man.
With the cast, director, and creator of Nimona coming real soon. You might already see some on our socials by the time you're listening to this. I don't know, but Darcy, thank you so much for joining me for this Watch Club. And as we say, and no, we didn't figure out a better thing, so we're just gonna say it again.
I couldn't think of anything. I completely forgot. Oh no.
Skrull you later.
I don't.
It's so dumb.
It's so dumb.